So today we're going to solve equations by factoring. So any quadratic equation with or with exponents bigger than 2, you can solve it by factoring. And here we're using the zero product property, zero factor property or zero product property. And this property says if I have product or factors, two factors multiply, I'm just going to write it like this. If A times B is equal to 0, if this is true, if this is what I need to solve, that means I have A could be 0 or B could be 0, right? This is kind of common sense because if one of those is 0, when you multiply 0 by anything, it's going to be 0, right? So that's the rule we're using, the zero factor property. So what you're going to do when you factor, when you solve by factoring, you're going to factor completely, and then you're going to set each of the factors equals 0. So let's start with number 1. Number 1, we have 9x squared minus 16. We have two terms. They don't have nothing in common. And we're going to do the difference of squares, right? Square root of both of those. So it's 3x minus 4 and 3x plus 4. So this is how you factor it, equals 0. And then we're going to solve it when you solve each of the factors 0. So you solve 3x. See here, the difference with when it says factor or factor by solving is you have to finish this. You have to solve 3x minus 4 equals 0. And also you have to solve 3x plus 4 equals 0. And how you solve that? You're going to add 4 and divide by 3. And you're going to get 4 over 3. So one of the answer is x equals 4 over 3. And the other one is you subtract 4 in both sides. And then you're going to divide by 3. Also negative 4 over 3. So these are my solutions, 4 over 3 and negative 4 over 3. So remember, we're solving, after you factor, you solve it, each of the factors equals 0. And that's how you get the solution. Make sense? Everybody good to that? So that's how we're going to solve all of these equations by factoring. You're going to factor and then set each of the factors 0. So before you factor, though, you have to have it equal 0. So let's go ahead and do number 3. So number 3, we're going to move everything in the same side. So we're going to subtract 2 in both sides. And also I'm going to add 7 in both sides, 7x. So that way I'm going to have everything in one side is going to be equal 0. So I'm going to have 2x squared plus 7x plus 5 minus 2 is 3 equals 0. So do you remember how you factor this? You do AC method. So multiply 2 times 3, 6. And get the factors of 6 which add up to 7. So that's 1 times 6, right? So 1 times 6 is 6 and 1 plus 6 is 7. So those are the two numbers I'm going to use 1 and 6 to factor. And how you factor? You put x plus 1 over 2 and x plus 6 over 2. And then 6 divided by 2 is 3. And here these 2 goes in front. But because I'm going to solve it equals 0, actually I'm going to solve x plus 1/2 equals 0. I'm going to subtract 1/2. So that's going to give me negative 1/2 and negative 3. These are my answers. Negative 1/2 and negative 3. Everybody can say how I solve it. I just move it over, do the opposite to move it over, and I get x equals 1/2, negative 1/2, and x equals negative 3. Any questions? Let me know.
So how did you get How did you get that last part again? Can you explain that?
How I solve it equals 0?
No, how you got, so then you just subtracted, you just changed the sign?
Yes.
Half. Oh, okay.
Yeah, see, when you solve, I'm going to write it here. If I solve x plus 1/2 equals 0, because technically I have to solve this factor 0 and this factor 0. So if I solve, I'm just writing it down, I'll erase. If I solve this, I need to subtract 1/2 in both sides, right? To get x by itself. So that's how I get x equals 0 minus 1/2 is negative 1/2.
Oh, okay. Got it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Yeah, thank you for asking that. So always if I have x plus number equals 0, x is going to be opposite of it, positive. And if it's x plus number equals 0, x is going to be the negative number. Okay, so they always switch. Okay, everybody get that? Okay, then we have, let's do which one we want to do. Let's do one with fractions. You want to do fractions? Which one you want with fractions? 4 or 8? Pick one. Somebody say 8, so let's do 8. Okay, so number 8, we're gonna get rid of the fractions first. Then I'm gonna find the common denominator for 5, 4, and 10, that's 20. So I'm multiplying everything by 20. So when I multiply the first fraction by 20, the second by 20, and the other side by 20, I'm gonna cancel all the denominators. So 5 and 20 divided by 5 is 4. 20 divided by 4 is 5. And here 20 divided by 10 is 2. And then what is left? 4x squared plus 5x. And then this is 2 times 3 is 6. I'm going to move it over, so it's going to be minus 6 equals 0. Got it? So this is the equation we have to factor now. And we're going to do AC method again. So I'm going to multiply 4 times negative 6 is negative 24. And I need to find two numbers which are up to 5. 7 and 4, no. 6 times 4, what is it? Okay, let's get all of them and we'll see. 3 and 8, yeah, 5 and, so 3 times 8 is 24. And it's a negative 3 because I need positive 5. So these are my two numbers I need. Everybody see that? So I'm gonna multiply negative 3 times 5. These are my magic numbers. I'm gonna get negative 24. And when I add them, I'm gonna get 5. So those are my numbers I'm gonna use to factor. So you factor it like x minus 3 over 4 and x plus 8 over 4. 8 over 4 equals 0. 8 over 4 is 2. So this reduced to 2. And then when you solve, again, you're going to take the opposite. You solve this equals 0 and this equals 0. So we're going to get positive 3 over 4 and negative 2. Got it? Everybody understand that? Any questions here? So every time you deal with fractions, make sure you reduce and make sure you simplify it, okay? Reduce the fraction, just get rid of them first. And then when you multiply by common denominator, you can cancel the denominators and then solve it from there, okay? Now let's go ahead and do number 5. Yeah, I'm gonna do 9 and 10 in a little bit, okay? We're gonna do 5 first. So let's go ahead and do 5. So for 5, we have common factor. What is a common factor? All of those have x's. So I'm gonna pull out x. Use different color. So I'm gonna factor out x. And then I have 20. Oh, these are not in order, you see that? So I'm gonna put See, all of those three factors, they have x's. But this is going to be the first one, 4x3. So it's going to be 4x squared. I'm going to put it in order. Plus 20x plus 25. 0. It have to be in that order, x squared, x and number. Okay, and we factor out x. Then after that, we're going to do AC multiply. 4 times 25 is 100, right? So we're going to get the factors of 100, which multiply and you get you 100 and add up to 20. So that's 10 and 10, right? 10 times 10 is 100. And when you add them, you get 20. So you factor this inside the parentheses like x plus 10 over 4 and x plus 10 over 4. Now 10 over 4 reduce like 5 over 2. We divide by 2. The same way here, 5 over 2. And then don't forget to bring the x down. So from here, we're going to solve three factors, this 0, and this 0. So we're going to get three solutions. And the solutions are going to be x equals 0. I'm going to write here, x equals 0. And negative 5 over 2 is 2 times solution. It's called also multiple solution. Okay? It's solution of the equation 2 times. Everybody understand that? Now, if you notice, the highest exponent here is 3 cubed. So we get 3 answers. If the highest exponent is 2, you get 2 answers. If it's 1, you get 1 answer. So the highest exponent of the polynomial is going to give you how many solutions you're going to get. Okay? The maximum number of solutions. Everybody good with that? Now let's go ahead and do 9 and 10. So for 9, you have to, there's nothing in common for 9. So we're just gonna do AC method. So multiplying 25 times 8. Now we can divide by 3. Okay, so we're gonna start with that. 25 times 8 is 200. And then you're gonna get the factors of 200, which add up to 45. Let's see. 25 times 8. No, that's less. 10 times 20 is 30. So it's going to continue after 10, 20. It's going to be 12. 40 times 5. Thank you. That's right. Good job. 40 times 5. Yes. So 40 times 5 is 200. And when you add it, is 45. Good job. So you're going to factor it like this. X plus 40 over 25. You have to reduce that, and x plus 5 over 25. So here you're going to reduce by 5, so it's going to be 1/5. The opposite of it is negative 1/5 is my solution. And the other one, divide by what you divided by 5 again. So it's going to be 5, and this is 8. So it's going to be negative 8 over 5. So those are my answers. X equals negative 8 over 5 and 1/5, negative 1/5. Both of those are negative because you switch the sign. If you want to move it over, you have to do the opposite, so subtract, and it's going to be negative. Okay? So those are my solutions. Any questions on 9? Okay, let's go ahead and do number 10. So for number 10, we're going to factor, the common factor here is 3. So I'm going to pull out 3, and I have x squared minus 4 equals 0. And then x squared minus 4, I can factor x minus 2x plus 2 because taking square root of both of those is going to be x minus 2 and x plus 2. And 3 in front. And then you're going to solve each of those equals 0. Now, 3 equals 0 is not going to give me solution. So if you have only number with no x, you don't worry about it. It's not going to give you solution. Then you're going to solve x minus 2 equals 0, x plus 2 equals 0. So you're going to get x equals 2 and also negative 2. When you switch the signs, you're going to get opposite of 2 and negative 2. Okay? Any questions? Okay, so let's see, let's do like 1 or 2 more, and then we're gonna do groups. We have 2 pages. Do you want one from 11 to 14? Pick one, 11 to 14. Okay, we have 12. Somebody said 12 or 13. Let's do 13. 12 is just when you subtract 49, take square root of both of those, is going to be difference of squares. So for 12, let's do the both of those. Let's do this. So you subtract 49, so it's going to be minus 49 equals 0. And then you take square root. So it's going to be 4t minus 7 and 4t plus 7 equals 0. And that's going to be 7 over 4 and negative 7 over 4. So those are the two answers. When you solve the first one, you add 7 in both sides and then divide by 4. And the second one, you subtract 7 in both sides and then divide by 4.
Professor,
Yes.
so you're not going to take points off if we don't put x equals 7 over divided by 4? And if we just put it as commas like that, you're not going to take off points?
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay, just making sure.
Yes. Make sure you box your answer. Okay. The next one we have number, let's do 13. So 13, I have negative here 4. So I'm going to move everything in the left side. So I'm going to have, I'm adding 4x squared and subtracting 11x. And I'm going to get 4x squared minus 11x plus 6 equals 0. So this is how my equation looks like. Always when you factor, make sure it's equal 0 and make sure you have it in this order, square x number. And then here they don't have nothing in common, not the greatest common factor that they don't have. So multiply AC, 4 times 6, 24. And then find 2 factors of 24 which add up to negative 11. So obviously going to be negative times negative, but what number? What times what is negative 11? 3 and 8, right? Negative 3 times negative 8 is positive 24. And when you add 3 and 8, is negative but is going to be negative 11. So that's how you factor. You factor x minus 3 divided by 4 and x minus 8 divided by 4. Now 8 and 4 you can reduce, so it's going to be x minus 2. And the other one doesn't reduce, so we're just going to solve it from here. We solve both of those equals 0, so we're going to get x equals 3 over 4, positive 3 over 4, and also x equals positive 2. Okay, so those are my two answers. After I solve each of the factors equals 0. Okay, any questions?
Where did you get the 3 over 4 and the 8 over 4?
I multiply 8 times C, so 6 times 4 is 24 positive. So the AC method says if I multiply two numbers, the A and C, I get 24. I have to get all the factors of 24, which add up to the negative 11. So here we have all, if you want, you can list all the factors, but with the practice, you'll see which one add up. So I found that negative 3, if you want technically, let me write it for you. The factors of 24 are 1 times 24, 2 times 12, 3 times 8, 4 times 6, and that's it, right? These are all the factors. Now, because they have to add up, when I add those two, they have to be negative 11. That means both of those numbers should be negative. Because negative times negative, it's positive 24. So I have positive 24, and I have negative 11. So which two numbers add up to negative 11? 6 and 4 doesn't add up to negative 11. 2 and 12 also, it's negative 14, and this also it doesn't add. So these are the two numbers which add up to negative 11. Make sense?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you for asking that. I'll make sure everybody understand. Probably somebody else is wondering where you get the two numbers. Okay, any other questions, guys? Okay, then we're gonna go to next page. I'm gonna do one or two here, and then it's your turn. Actually, looking at those, we did the page 120, 147 we did, right? So let's do one of those. Let's see which one. I mean, those 17, 18, 19, 20, these are the same. 21, 22, they're the same. Let's do 21 and 26. Let's do those two. So number 21, why I pick it? Because you have negative this invisible one here. And we're gonna solve it when you, we're gonna do AC method again. So do 15 times negative 2 is negative 30. So we need to find two numbers which multiply to negative 30 and add up to negative 1. Do you know what is that? So the factors of 30, 1 times 30, 3 times 10, 5 times 6. That's all. It's going to be 5 times negative 6. Because have to be negative, that means one of the sign is negative, one of the number is negative, and the bigger number should be negative because they add up to negative 1. So those are the two numbers I'm going to use. So this factor like t plus 5 over 15, and also t minus 6 over 15. And then you're going to reduce the fractions. So 15 and 5 divide by 5, so it's going to be 1/3. And here 6 and 15, you can also divide by 3, 5 and 2, right? Divide by 3. So my solutions are going to be t equals negative, you switch the sign, negative 1/3, and also positive 2 over 5. Okay, questions? Okay, let's go ahead and do number 26. So 26, we have this equation. We have to solve it when you move 1 over, or you can just multiply by 4 first and then multiply 1 over. You can get rid of this fraction. So multiply by 4 both sides. Let's do that first if you don't want to work with fractions. So cancel this. So we have x squared equals 4. Now here probably you can just take square root in both sides and you're going to give it plus or minus 2, right? That's your answers. You can take square root. But also you can move it over and factor it. So you're going to be x squared minus 4 equals 0. So you solve it like x minus 2 and x plus 2. And then when you solve each of those equals 0, we're gonna get what we need, okay? Everybody understand that? Questions?
So that one right there, would it be written as the plus minus 2, or it would be like the other ones? Like,
You can write it like plus minus 2, or you can write it like this, x equals 2 and negative 2, doesn't matter. Both of those means the same. Okay,
okay,
any questions? Everybody understand that? 25, yeah, let's do 25. Okay, so for 25, you have to get rid of the fraction first. So we're gonna, what is the common denominator for 16 and 9? Let me show you a method how to find the common denominator if you don't just look at it and just tell what it is. So I'm gonna write here 16 and 9 are my denominators, right? So I'm gonna divide by what they're divisible, something the same. Do they have something divisible by? 16 is divisible by 2, 4, 8. 9 is divisible by 1 and 9, so and 3. So they don't have nothing to be divisible by. So in this case, you're just gonna multiply those two numbers. And that's gonna be the common denominator. So you're gonna multiply by 16 times 9 is 144. So we're gonna multiply both sides by 144. And this one by 144. And of course, technically in 0 by 144. Okay, so from here, we're gonna cancel 16 divided 144 by 16 is 9. And 9 divided by 144 by 9 is gonna be 16. And of course, 0 times 144 is 0. So, oops, I put it backwards. This 9 should be upright. Okay, so we have 9 times 9 is 81x squared minus 16 equals 0. Everybody can say how we get the equation with no fractions? So from here, we have difference of squares and minus in the middle. So I can take square root in both of those and write it with plus and with minus. So it's going to be square root of 81x squared is 9x minus square root of 16 is 4. And the same 9x plus 4 equals 0. And from here, we can solve this 0 and this 0. So it's going to be x equals, they're going to be plus or minus 4 over 9. Because you're going to add or subtract 4, and both of those are going to be divided by 9. Okay, any questions? Okay, so that's what we have for today, and then we're going to work in groups. So here are all the solutions of the equations. We have them solved in groups. So these are the questions from 1 to 8. And then we have all the solutions from 9 to 14. And then the page 146, we have all the solutions with answers for number 15 all the way to 22. And then the last one is the solutions for page 23 all the way to 26. Okay, so that's conclude the lecture for today.